Hi, I'm Zack.
I'm Zubeyir.
And welcome again to Zack and Zubeyir's Tea Circle. How are you?
Thank you. Tea is here.
Yeah. Oh, you're in a good mood today.
How do you know that?
Because I can tell by your voice.
Really?
Yes.
Because I'm confident with my question this time.
Okay. Let's have it.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You claim that God is, absolute, right?
Mm-hmm.
In any term.
Okay. Yeah.
In and of himself.
Yeah.
And that means basically his will and power is also absolute.
Okay.
And therefore there is no room for my will in this existence or whatsoever.
That's your question?
I didn't ask the question yet.
Huh.
So why should I bother to make a choice? Or, my existence, my will, the existence of my will is, questionable. It doesn't exist maybe, so why should I bother?
There's your question. You're very certain about this question.
Kind of.
Okay. It's a good question. It's a question I've asked myself.
Really?
Of course.
Did?
It's a question everybody has to ask. Let me ask...
Maybe has to, but I really doubt that you have asked it, really.
Okay. Well, let me ask you what you feel that the 2 solutions, 3 solutions, 4 solutions, what can you do in this situation?
Not much.
What?
If you don't have a will, you might either get yourself drunk and forget everything about completely, and you would kill yourself.
Whoa. 2 extremes. One.
Can you present another third one?
Well, let's talk about those 2 questions.
If you do not have a will, and if you cannot choose anything, then it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so you've offered me 2 options. Yes, I think that there are other options too, but you see only 2 options, and so that's important for me right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those first 2 options. The fact that you mentioned suicide is important because some people don't even see that as an option. Okay. So let's start with the first option, the one that you talked about, getting drunk.
Okay.
I think you said that you realize that that's not an option. That seems to you not to be a solution.
Yeah. Yeah. You know where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So since you see that as not a solution, that's I think why you brought the second alternative, suicide.
Suicide is a kind of, if you're really sincere about what you're thinking, then it leads to just commit a suicide and get rid of everything else.
Okay, so then
did you really realize that thing too?
Yeah, I went through this process myself. I contemplated suicide in my own life when I asked this question.
And you failed?
I'm alive. So let's go step by step. The first solution, that getting drunk, which could mean focusing on entertainment, getting lost in this world. We say workaholic or entertainaholic.
That's
whatever.
What I exactly mean. Yeah.
That doesn't solve anything.
Yep.
Okay. It's just an escape, and it's not real. It's fake. It's
temporary.
It's temporary, and it's not sincere. I see that you feel that it's not sincere, and that's why you don't even want to interest yourself in it.
Yes, we can say that.
So suicide seems like a much more sincere option to you.
Because it kind of ends the problem.
Yeah, you don't need to trick yourself with this world and getting drunk. Okay, yeah, I agree. That's much more sincere.
But it doesn't solve the problem.
That's true, it doesn't. But I do want to make one quick point here. This is just my little addition.
Do it before I commit my suicide.
May God forbid. So, what here is, I think since I contemplated this myself in my own life, I see that the contemplation of suicide is much more sincere. It's not our job to say, oh, the guy committed suicide, so he's completely worthless, he's going to hell, etc., etc.
Yeah.
That's none of our business. Okay? Is it a solution? That's my actual question.
To my question, it's not.
Okay, so it's not a solution. Why?
It's just you're just getting over the question.
You're also not dealing with the question. Okay, yes. So, though it's more sincere than getting drunk on this world, getting drunk in this world,
yep,
it's still not a solution.
Yes.
Yes. I'll speak from my perspective. That's why I didn't kill myself. That's why I didn't go through with with suicide. Although it's much more sincere, I realized it was not going to actually solve this problem, wasn't going to answer this question. And since it wasn't a solution, though I didn't have an answer, I knew this wasn't an answer, so I just kind of was waiting, searching for an answer still.
Okay, please.
So the answer that I found was this. Yes, we agree that God is absolute.
Mm-hmm.
We agree that His will is absolute.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't agree that I have absolutely no free will. That's where the difference is.
Okay.
Okay. So let's think of this. I'm going to give an example to maybe help explain it. Somebody who is blind from birth.
Okay.
And somebody who can see. You, for example. If you were to try to describe color to the person blind from birth, what would you run into?
Well, I would fail.
Why?
He can't understand. He can't comprehend the concept of color.
Yeah, to the same degree you understand it, there might theoretically be a color, but you're describing this is red, this is blue. It doesn't make sense. It's pointless. Not necessarily pointless, I won't go that far, but he cannot understand to the same degree that you can.
Yes.
So, well, let's look at ourselves. You say that God is absolute. That means we're not absolute. I think we agree with that.
Yes, sure. I don't feel like an absolute one.
You're not. I mean, we none of us are. We can see that in our own existence. So, with that, you're not absolute, and He is absolute.
Oh.
I think you got it.
I can't see colors. So there's no way of seeing, understanding the concept of colors, understanding the concept of being absolute in my perspective. That's what your conclusion is.
Yeah, since you're not absolute, you can't fully comprehend absolute to begin with.
So what's to me?
What's it to you? Good question. Well, first, I want you to see that by your own saying that God is absolute, so I have no free will, is you putting a limit on what absolute means. You're imposing your understanding of absolute on absolute.
You just punched me on the face.
So although I can't see, I am just describing the concept of color in full details, even going too much further, that the will of God just punches me out of the absoluteness space, that I don't have some space for my will, something like that. So
that's your
understanding,
and you're imposing that on the understanding.
It might be wrong.
You're the one who's saying you have no free will, is what you're saying. You are saying that through your understanding. Is that what absolute means? Let's real quickly look in our everyday life, because it's better for us to go from a bottom-up approach. Because if God's will is absolute, and it is, then that means the way He creates is within His absolute will. So we will...
Do you mean that I'm going up to bottom?
Yeah, you're making a top-down approach. You're saying God is this, so therefore, which is dogmatic.
Which I can understand fully. So the initial starting point of my theory is kind of,
Exactly.
doesn't exist.
Exactly, yes. It's based, yes.
So let's begin from the bottom to up.
Yes.
Bottom to top.
Bottom up.
Bottom up approach.
A bottom up approach.
I don't like that word.
Yeah, bottom up approach.
So, do you mean that I have will?
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that you have the ability to exercise choice in your actions?
Even my initial question was the proof of that.
Okay, good. That's yes.
For example, I suggested that the existence of absolute will of God means that I don't have will. I just concluded that. So I choose to commit a suicide. That's just the,
Exactly. You're exercising your will there. If you really wanted me to put it in like this, if God's will is absolute, and you have this question, then you have no choice but to be interested in it.
Say it once again.
To show the flaw in your argument, real quickly, that you started with, if you say that God's will is absolute,
and there's no room for nothing else,
and no room for my own will, but you have this question to begin with, it means that He willed you to have this question, and since He willed you to have this question, you have no choice but to
search for an answer.
To find the answer. You have no, but to
I
be
can't run
interested.
away from the question, maybe.
Yes, the fact that you're able to run away shows that you have free will.
I'm going to kick you after the...
The fact that you're going to kick me shows that you have free will. Anyway, I think we see in our everyday
Yeah.
life, if I put my hand in the fire, I have the choice to keep it in there or pull it out.
Yes.
So I have free will. Now, since I'm not absolute,
I cannot comprehend the relationship between my will and God's will.
Yes.
But that's not my job then.
exactly, I can't. But since this creation is within His absolute will, He's showing me that through my free choice, He has absolute will. What does that mean? I want to put, this is the last point and then we'll end it.
Okay.
We are able to say that God has will through our own will. If we didn't have the ability to exercise our own free will within a limited domain to begin with, we wouldn't understand what will was to be able to say that God has absolute will.
Wow. So my will is just a subtle sample of God's will, right? Which is absolute.
It's showing that He has will. Through for you to be even be able to say that God has will, an absolute will, you had to experience will
Yeah.
in your own life. So that's all I got. If you want,
Thank you, man.
how do you feel?
I don't have to commit a suicide then.
Huh? Good.
But I'm going to kill you.
Okay. So thank you very much. Have a good day. Hope to see you next time. Please leave your question and comments.
See you next time. Bye.